everybody, welcome back to the channel, to Watercolor Wizardry, and I'm Zara. And today we're gonna do 10 gift ideas for watercolor artists for any occasion. So it could be your birthday, Christmas, which is right now for me. And these are my recommendations for mainly beginners. So let's get to it. Let's see. So first, the number one. I'm just going to start with the number one recommendation, which is paper is the most important supply. And Arches is my favorite paper. So we're just going to start it off with my number one recommendation. This is hot press, the pink one. It's very smooth. Cold press is the one that's a little bit more textured. And then rough is very textured. I don't know if you can tell, but so that's rough. And then here is smooth. Just to give you an idea, there's no there's no bumps on it at all. And then this is the cold. I don't know if you're going to be able to see the textures, but I'm going to try. We're going to try to bring it up to the overhead camera here to see if you can see the difference. We'll see. So between the cold and obviously the smooth is very smooth. And then that's the cold in the middle. And that's the rough. Just to give you an idea of how that looks. And those are the papers I would recommend. It's a lot easier to work with, especially for a beginner. You know, you don't really want to get a beginner frustrated and give up, which is what I ended up doing the first year that I was painting. The other one that I have recommendation that I would recommend is B watercolor paper. That's the paper that I use for studies. And studies mean I'm just learning the actual image and all the obstacles I might run into when I'm painting it. And as you can see, you can do decent job. On top of that, I actually use these brushes for this painting. And this set of brushes was it's under $10 on Amazon right now. They're the Princeton Select brushes, but we'll get to the brushes in a minute here. So this is the B watercolor paper, and I'll show you the texture. So it's kind of rough. I mean, not rough. It's like a cold press, right? But it's more, has a mechanical pattern. You know, it's a recognizable pattern. So, you know, there's that. But I just use it because it's 100% cotton. It's a decent price, you know, for what it is. So let's switch over to the monitor. So as a price comparison, the hot press right now, it's $17.19, at least for me on Amazon. And then the B is $21.89, but it's 30 sheets for the journal. And in Arches, it's only 12, right? 12 sheets, but it is a lot more better. It is I would recommend it. Yeah, so that's the paper recommendations. And then next up is brushes. So right now, let me show you. Here's the Princeton Select. Again, under $10. And I'm able to pull off that rose painting. Let me show you this painting with the Princeton brushes. But I feel like that's also because, you know, I can predict what's going to happen. And actually, it was a little frustrating working with this paper. But it's doable, right? So, and you learn your supplies. The more you use it, you learn. You can anticipate what's about to happen most of the time. But the other brushes that I wanted to show you are the Mimic and the Neptune. I think these would work out really well. Now the Neptune is pretty spendy, right now. So it's $40.97, but they are good. You could probably check other online stores like Jerry's Artorama or Cheap Joe's or Dick Blick, or is it called Utrecht? I don't know. I don't know how to say it. But there's other online art stores. Jackson's is another good one. And there's so many different brushes, so it's a little bit overwhelming when choosing a brush. But I think actually this Mimic synthetic, Frugal Crafter, she recommends this one, so I'm sure it's really nice. And then the Neptune, I hear a lot of good things about it too. And I actually wanted to show you a comparison between them. Let's go to the overhead. All right, so, okay. So here's there's the Princeton brush. Maybe I could bring up the lighting. Oh, sorry. Let me move this out of the way. The last one here is a Da Vinci Maestro Series 35, which is my favorite paintbrush. Watercolor brush. So you can see the points. The points on the Mimic is the second one up, and then Neptune is the third one up, and then the Maestro. And the first one is the Princeton Select. So those points are really nice. The points on all of them are nice, but it's just I just think the Mimic brushes are going to work out really well for you. But you know, you can go either way, because the better you learn your supplies, the better you're going to be able to work with it. But it will take some learning. It doesn't matter which brush you get, you're going to have to learn how that brush works. And then it doesn't matter what paper you get, you're going to have to learn how that paper works. And I recommend Arches. And then I recommend for paintbrushes, if you can afford it and you don't mind, then I would recommend the Da Vinci Maestro Series 35. Those are my favorite. I'm not gonna back down. Those are my favorite brushes. So there you go for those three. Next up is now watercolor travel palettes. These are fun. Now, I always recommend professional paints, right? But I wouldn't buy these sets in a professional paint because you're paying for the package or the unit, right? Not the paints. So I believe this one is cheaper at like Jerry's Artarama or Cheap Joe's or something by $10, I think. And then this Winsor Newton, what is this one called? It's the pocket set, field pocket set. This was under $20 just a couple weeks ago, so it does go down in price. You know, you just kind of have to watch out for it. And I just really like this set a lot. I have both of them. I could show you really quick what they're like. Hold on. All right, so this one, I bought it because I wanted the packaging, or not the packaging, but like this unit. Oh. So it's kind of cool. It has the thumb hole or finger. I guess it depends on how you like to hold it. But I'd probably, I don't know. I have not used this one yet. So this is where you would put the water, and I guess you'd have to hold it. And it opens up. This is the water bottle in here. And it comes with the brush, right? And it's a synthetic brush, just like, pretty small, just like the Princeton ones. At least they seem similar, right? And this, you can put water in it. You would put it in here in the little cup thing. And then you can use this as a palette or mixing palette, right? And then this opens up as a mixing palette. This also opens up as a mixing palette. There's all your paints. And it looks like it has a warm and a cool primary set, and then some essential colors that I would call essential, like Payne's Gray and burnt sienna. I really like that it has the sponge, because that's helpful to control the water on your paintbrush. So, you know, you could, I guess, put your thumb through here and then hold this maybe, or you could just sit down, or I don't know, somehow you could paint with this. And I just bought it because it was cool and it was so small you can fit it into your pocket, which I thought was pretty cool. So there's that. Let me put back the, kind of neat. You know, it's pretty small. You could put it in the pocket of a big jacket, right? So that's that. It comes with the, you know, information. Kind of cool. Yeah, I bought it just to have a travel packet. So this one is the other one. It's called a field travel set. This was actually my first travel set. I love it a lot. I think it's super cute. And I took out all the Cotman colors and put in M. Graham colors. And actually, these colors, I think still, originally came from Mind of Watercolor, put out an M. Graham, his favorite colors. And so that's these. This was like a long time ago. I was watching his show, Steve, on Mind of Watercolor. And these are M. Graham paints. And the reason why I love it is because it's like a transformer. It just kind of expands like this. And it came with a brush. And this is a water bottle, right? And then the lids, you can hook on right here. You could even hold it like that. You can paint like this, you know? And this water bottle would fill up. You could put this over here, right? Over on this side, or you could have it on this side. So it's left or right-handed, right? You can go like this. I think it's really cool. But let's set that aside. And then let's go to the next thing. Let's see here. Yeah, so watch out for sales, because this was it was like 17 something around Black Friday time, just like 2 weeks ago. And then this one is more for when you're traveling around doing plein air. And I really like these kinds of palette. And let me show you. Of course, I have both of them. So this one, super, super lightweight. And I went to Hobby Lobby. Yeah, Hobby Lobby. And very lightweight, right? And this, okay, I'm pretty sure I only paid $2.50 for this. $7 over here on Amazon. But if you go to Hobby Lobby, I'm sure they still have those half price sales, right? Really good deal, as long as you don't mind, you know, your paints separating, because that's what they do on metal palettes or enamel paint and plastic, is that they don't lay down as well as a ceramic palette. But when you're doing plein air, you're not trying to be like, it doesn't have to be super accurate painting, right? Because it's plein air. So it's not a big deal. Not so much. The cool thing with this, I wanted to show you, is, you know, you're out there painting or whatever. I'll open this. And what you could do is, it's easy to hold with one hand your paper and the paints, right? So you're like painting, blah, blah, blah. And then on your arm, I don't know if you can see. So on your arm, you can hang a bucket of water, a little bucket. They sell them. Paint buckets. And then you can paint and, you know, be on your way. I just thought that was really cool. And so it comes in the aluminum type or the plastic type, which is super cheap. And if you want, I could show you the aluminum, but it's pretty much exactly the same as the plastic. And it feels really nice, but it doesn't have the brush holes. So you would have to have your brush with you and you draw. you know, and you can hold your this thing and you're good to go. It's pretty fast, pretty quick, right? Bucket, and you're just like, sketch right away, sketch. So it works out really good. So let me put that away. Let's see. Next, a recommendation. Let's scroll here. What do I have? Oh, I'll show you this thing. So this is kind of the new model. I think I hadn't seen it before, so I actually bought one. I'll show you the old and new models. Let's see, overhead. Okay. So this is you'll see this most of the time. And normally they would have the paints, you can only put them on 2 rows, just like this. And you can fit a paintbrush in the middle. Usually I go around with a water brush and, you know, you use that. But you can take these out and then you'd have more palette space. I'll show you with this one, which is kind of cool. This one comes out easier. See how that comes out? So now you have more palette space, and then you have this that you can set aside and paint. So I like that too. That's kind of a cool deal. This is a new model because I hadn't seen it before. And I'll actually show you, I have a small version of it, of the palette. And I'll show you something cool. So these are magnets that you clip on, you know, like, you know, message on the refrigerator door, or yeah. And so you would clip it on your board, painting board. I taped down my arch paper on here, and this will stick. It'll stick right there. And then here's your palette that you can use, you know, you just have those magnets. You know, you adjust it however you want. And so this is a smaller size that I found a while ago. And then this can actually, you can get an easel or a tripod that clamps down on this board. And then you can be out there, it's on the easel, and your water bucket is hanging on the tripod, and you can paint away. Kind of cool. So I thought that was neat. All right. So that was my set of recommendations for gifts. I have more suggestions, but I thought those were good to start with. And so if you enjoyed hanging out with me and listening to my ideas, make sure to subscribe so you can see the next video that comes up. And I just want to thank everybody that has subscribed so far. Thank you so much, because that's awesome. And then for anybody new, welcome to the channel. And I hope you hang out and watch more videos. And I'm pretty sure the next one is probably going to be around here somewhere. All right. I'll talk to you later. All right, bye. All right. I got the lids, you know. I tried to find some used ones, but I couldn't, so I have these new ones. I just used mason jar, like jelly jars, the wide. I think maybe this one. Glasses would be nice. Ignore my messy studio. I hope you can hear me okay. Am I on mute? You can hear me just fine. I don't know. I'm back and forth on the color of his wings and ears. I might do I think I will do that on his ears. It's just too warm for his coat color. It doesn't make sense to me. Oh, let's go here. I need to match his ears better with his fur color. For personal choice. It's just a little too brown.
Start the music and hi. I still don't know where to look. Okay, so we're talking about tracing versus drawing. A lot of people have like blocks against tracing because they think it's gonna forever prohibit them from being able to draw. Okay, you guys, if you want to draw, you learn drawing, and the site I recommend is proco.com. I'm sure there's other ways to draw. There's books, there's free books actually in the library. It's I almost said open source, but it's public domain actually. There's drawing books that are in the public domain. I wish I was more organized. I would have links, but I'm not. Just do Google search. And a lot of the famous people who taught drawing, their books are now in the public domain, just so you know. So anyway, but the difference between tracing and drawing, like people get hung up on this. And when you're learning painting, you're not really learning drawing yet. And besides that, they're two different skills to learn. They're related, but they're two different skills. What I teach, I want to teach you how to control the paint on the paper in watercolor. Okay, I'm not teaching drawing. So to fast speed this ahead, we trace, because I teach realistic, very accurate style. I mean, I want to say hyper realistic, but there's some seriously awesome hyper realistic artists that, you know, obviously what we're doing is beginner stuff. So it's not going to be hyper realistic. So I just want to call it realistic for now. Like more than just realistic looking. I know there's just so many shades of gray. I just want to describe to you that what we're going for is very accurate as possible. We're not trying to copy the photograph exactly. We're trying to use our brain to produce a realistic effect. It's not photorealistic. It's hyper realistic. There's a slight difference, but there is a difference. And I wanted to show you what I was doing today. So I have Affinity Photo, but you can do this on free software also, like GIMP is a free software, and I'm sure there's a couple more that you can do that's free. So I want to show you. Look at that. Yeah. So I have my rose over here that I want to work on, and then I learned in Affinity Photo how to turn it into a photo sketch, and then with using curves, I tried my best to highlight like the edges so it's easier to trace, right? And then, so what I wanted to show you, so I printed that out, right? So I'll show you what I first started with. So I first started with I printed the photo. I have a laser printer, so you know, it's not that good as far as really accurate photographs. But my goal is to use my phone anyway, as a reference photo thing. I'm pretty sure I downloaded the photograph, but now I don't remember. Oh, I did. Yes, I did. Right? So basically, I'll have my phone, you know, and I'll just zoom in, zoom out, you know. It's a really great, for me, a great way to get in there and really look at the details and then get as close as possible to the details. And then step back and then do my own thing, right? But as accurate as possible is what you're going for. And then you have room to adjust it for yourself. And then it's your style. So this photograph is actually available on Unsplash. I will link it so that you have it. And then, okay, so what I was saying was, so I printed it like this and I couldn't see it. It was really hard to see. Like, I'll turn this off. You know, it was very difficult to see. I'll also link this in the description. It's the it's just like, I found it for $14 on Amazon, right? So I'll link that, but you do your own shopping. Like, I don't know the detail. I just have like 4 of these because they're so inexpensive and I love them. They're lightweight. They're just USB powered, light box. It's not a box. It's a, see? Oh, you can't even see me? It's very lightweight. So what's gonna happen? Okay, so I printed it on my Leza printer, and it prints black and white because I don't have color printer. But that wasn't working out, so I learned on Affinity Photo how to do this version, and now I just, you know, I'll turn off more lights. I'll do the tracing tonight when it's dark, and trace this out so that it's ready for painting. I might trace a couple, just, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going through the process. So that's what I wanted to show you. I was proud of this today. I thought that was really cool. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about tracing versus drawing. I believe that for beginners, don't worry about being able to draw yet. If you're wanting to do the style of painting that I want to teach, which is hyper realistic or realistic, really, watercolor, don't worry about being able to draw yet. Because what you need for that final painting to convey that realism is accuracy. That's what you have to learn, is very accurate as far as the colors and the tones. That's what you're learning. You're learning how to manipulate watercolor, working with the supplies that you have to transform something realistic. So I'm not worried about drawing right now. What I'm worried about is accuracy, a good pencil sketch, and you learning how to layer colors to build up to a realistic looking image. That's my goal. Once you learn that, you can have a separate drawing sketchbook. Okay, here's the other thing too. Don't try to sketch on your watercolor paper. You want to transfer your drawing onto the watercolor paper so that you're not, you know, tracing and drawing and stuff on your watercolor paper and erasing, and that damages the fibers on the watercolor paper. Watercolor paper is specifically for painting, not drawing on it. I mean, not like, you know, building up your drawing. That's what a drawing sketchbook is for. Once you're done with your drawing, then you transfer that image onto the watercolor paper. For the painting part of it, 2 separate things. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. So tracing is very beneficial for a beginner. Well, obviously, if you're not, you know, if you don't want to paint your drawings yet, you don't have to. You can trace reference photos and learn the painting part of it. You know, you can build the 2 separate things separately. Yeah, and I said drawing is a separate skill from painting because it is a separate skill. There is, obviously, you can paint and sketch at the same time, but your results won't necessarily be the hyper-realistic style because most likely, well, I don't know. You do you. This is my path. You do whatever you want. I'm just saying don't block yourself from some belief that you can't do certain things. You do whatever. You can do whatever. So let's see. Oh, the other thing I wanted to point out too. Some people think that if you're doing the grid style, or if you're doing the where you hold up a pen or pencil and you're you're measuring the subject and then you're transferring it onto your canvas, that's somehow drawing. And it's you're still copying. You're still measuring and copying. That's the same thing. Drawing is different. For me, this is my opinion, you guys. Okay, I'm not saying that this is the definition. I'm just saying this is how I see it. Drawing to me is drawing from scratch. And you can have reference photos, you know, you can have reference there, but you're not like directly copying necessarily. You're drawing each item and 3Ding it or whatever, you know, and then that's to me is drawing. And actually, I want to do a shout out for a friend of mine that is freaking awesome. As far as drawing goes, unfortunately, he streams late night. So it's kind of hard to catch him. But for people that are outside of United States, since it's probably daytime there when he streams, what's his name? Lister. Charles Lister. Oh my God. He's amazing. He's an amazing pencil artist. He has an Instagram, so go look at his Instagram and you'll just be blown away by his characters that he draws. And he'll, like in one sitting kind of thing. And it's fun to watch, and he's very good at what he does. And it's a fun group. And I used to hang out there all the time, but it's just so late at night that it just messes up my circadian system. I think that's what it's called, circadian sleep cycle. But yeah, he's an amazing artist that I always recommend him to everybody. Yeah, I think that's it. Any form of copy isn't drawing. Yeah, any kind of copying something. But you guys, it's part of learning. It's part of learning. Copying is part of your learning process. The more you copy, the more your brain kind of understands what's going on with the subject, and it'll be easier for you to draw. So there's no wrong way. Just do it. Stop stopping yourself. Because I think that's what you're actually doing, is just preventing yourself from doing things. So I wanted to do a video today, and that's my video. And I hope that was okay. All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Very, I don't know, difficult paper to work details on. But it's the challenge that's fun. I'll wait till it's dry. Not quite dry. Make his eyes darker. so cute. So cute. So adorable. Just gonna leave that alone. Super cute. Okay, so like that. Okay, so the wing. Hey everybody, welcome to Watercolor Wizardry. My name is Zara, and today we're going to answer the top 10 questions that beginners ask regarding watercolor brushes. So, question number 1. What types of brushes do I need for watercolor painting? Mainly that would be a round brush, and I will show you what that looks like. Actually, I set up my camera. Let me see. Ta-da! You zoom in here. Actually, that would be much easier. Get this out of the way. So these are my favorite brushes. This is actually my own brush case. Ooh. Is that good? Right? So I love having my brushes with me because, I don't know, I love them. So, okay, so the center is the ones I use the most, and these are rounds. And how you can tell a round is that the ferrule, that's this part right here. Or no, actually that's this part right here. And then there's the stem. I don't know all the parts. Anyway, the ferrule will tell you how thick how much bristles is in there and how thick it is, but it's round. That ferrule is round. So on a flat, obviously, it's gonna come out flat. And then the different cuts will have the different names of the brushes. Like this one is a cat's tongue, is what it's called, right? So for beginners, or for all watercolor artists, generally rounds is what you'd have, because they can do everything pretty much. The other brushes are mainly for convenience, plus they're better at certain things. So what brushes do you need? Rounds, flats, and whatever you want. Okay, rounds and flat brushes for washes. Liner brushes are good. I have this teeny tiny liner brush. I have many different sizes. This is just the latest I bought for a certain something, and I just put it in with the other Da Vinci Nova brushes. It just depends on what you're doing. Like, look at these teeny tiny brushes. So it just depends on what you're doing. These are all different brushes for different things that I want them to do in a certain painting. Okay, so question number 2, are mop brushes best for watercolor? Okay, so as you can see, these are all mop brushes over here. This is a mop brush right here. Notice how they have a different, they have all these wires wrapped around. This is a mop brush also. So this is a squirrel hair mop brush, and this is a sable Kolinsky hair. I prefer natural hair. This one is actually pretty cool because it has this silver tip in the back, and I use this. This is used for drawing, for sketching on watercolor paper. There's a chemical reaction, and it causes lines to be drawn on the paper. So this is a nice travel brush, so you don't have to carry a pencil, and it doesn't have graphite. So it's pretty awesome. I have 2 of these brushes actually. This one also has that, right? And that's for drawing. Da Vinci is my favorite brand, and I prefer natural hair brushes. Let's go. So mops
Are mop brushes best for watercolor? They're great. They're really great. Mops are what I use for portraits because they're so soft and they really just release the pigment onto the paper in a more broad, soft way. So these brushes right here, these are Maestro and they're series 35 and they're designed to be needle point. I'll wet one to show you how sharp they get. Should have probably wet one before I started the video, but that's probably, you know, once you work with them a bit after they've been dried for a while, they get really needle point. See that? And as you can tell, this one I've already wet down. Here, buddy. Oh, it's so hard to get out. So let me wet this guy. I love Da Vinci because I love their brushes. I'm sure there's other makers, but look how needle point that is. And this is a floof ball, right? This is like, well, this is smaller, but you know, it's floofy when it's dry. But it goes needle point once you get it wet. And so that way you can do really tight lines, you know, like a liner brush. And that's why I really love these Maestro brushes. Series 35. There's different Maestros. I hope that's not confusing. As a beginner though, you can start with some synthetic brushes. It really depends on your style. It depends on the style you're doing. So as an example, like, okay, so see this gorgeous painting, right? This painting is currently done with these brushes and they're synthetic, very inexpensive. This whole set is $10 on Amazon. They're the Princeton Select. It's the round set. It goes to 6 and 3/0. And that's the smallest. But they are for me a little frustrating to work with because I'm capable of handling a different brush and a different level of paint on the brush. And these don't hold much water and paint, which is good for beginners because then you go slowly. It really helps you slow down. But for me, it's a little like I'm impatient and I just want to get it down, and I'm good at control. So they're frustrating, but I've been painting that painting only with these brushes. So you can certainly accomplish, you know, good paintings with any brush. Because you're human and you're freaking amazing. That's why. So let's see. What's the significance of brush bristle types? Okay, that's good. That's a good segue. So natural hair brushes, you're going to be able to hold more paint and water, which means that you can paint for a longer time. As long as you're good at water control, then you're not gonna overpaint or over dump a lot of pigment in a section pretty easily. With synthetic bristles, they don't hold that much water, which, you know, is good. It's good for beginners because it slows them down, like I said before. And I recommend them, but at the same time, it's hard to say if I'm able to just control them better because I know, you know, like I can have a feel for water control, but I think it would be good for beginners. I do still think that they would be decent. And but if you want to go up a level, there are other synthetics that are, you know, will hold a sharper point. Like I'll wet this down and I'll compare it with this guy because they're about the same. All right, so I mean, come on, there's no comparison. Look how needle point
that Series 35 is compared to this Princeton. But if you look at how much this is, it's quite a bit more money. But if you take care of your brushes, they'll last you a lifetime, right? So I hope that's not confusing. If you have any questions, let me know. So differences, the significance of brush bristle types. Synthetic doesn't hold as much water, generally speaking. They're making different synthetics now for different uses. So there are some synthetics that will hold a lot of water. You just got to read the details of that brush and what it's designed for. But these blue ones are the ones I recommended for hyper-realistic style, just because it slows you down as a beginner and you can go a little bit at a time. And they're very inexpensive, and that's why I thought they would make a good brush. And then I wanted to see, like, well, how well would they be? And so I painted. I started to paint. It's not done yet. Look at it again. She's gorgeous. Isn't she beautiful? I'm still working on it, of course. All right, my God, we're only on question 3. Let's go to question 4. How do I choose the right brush size for my project? Okay, so smaller brushes for more detail, larger brushes for larger areas of painting. So even though you're painting a gigantic painting, if you're doing details, you're still gonna rely on your smaller brushes. So it depends on how much detail you're painting, would dictate which brushes you're using. And then also how stiff your bristles are. So synthetic bristles are usually more stiff, but with natural hair, this is black squirrel hairs, very soft. Goat hair is also very soft. And then the red sable Kolinsky bristles, which is these Maestro, are red sable Kolinsky sable brushes. They're stiffer a little bit, just a little bit stiffer, more control on there. These mop brushes are seriously like mop, moppy. And then these are over here. My flats are the silver black velvet brushes, which is actually a combination of synthetic and natural hair, and it's a nice in between. They're still going to be more expensive than synthetics, generally speaking. There's so many brushes out there now, it's crazy, and I understand the confusion. Back behind here, I also have the silver black velvet brushes too. See, I like them. A little short. Yeah. So yeah. All right. So just so you know, I would love it if you would subscribe in case you're having a good time on the video and learning things. I would greatly appreciate it because I would love to reach monetization. And thank you for subscribing and coming back and watching videos. All right. How do I clean and care for my watercolor brushes? So I found my cleaner. Let's see. This is the brush cleaner that I use. It's really nice. So I just, use it right here. See, I hardly have used these because you don't really need to clean your brushes too much as long as you take care of them, right? You rinse it out with water. Water is the medium, and so once you rinse it out and then you dry it, and when you dry it, make sure you're drying it not on end. So you don't want to dry it like this where the water will go into the furl. You want to dry it either laying down or pointed down. I generally have it at an angle, and then the bristle part rests on paper. I like whatever I'm using to pick up pigment, and then I have a linen sheet that I lay them on. And so at an angle, the linen or the cotton, is it cotton? Linen. I have linen, I don't know. But the material, I'm thinking, will pull the water out of the furl. Because what happens is, for a lot of people, when they leave their brushes, don't leave your brushes in the water jug, because then this will be at an angle, and then your brush will rest at the bottom of that water jug bent, and that could permanently bend your hairs, which you don't want. So I just leave mine laying down and let them dry that way. So yeah, that's what I use. It's called the Masters. I'll put a link, an Amazon link at the bottom on the description. So, yep, you just rinse it with water, really, to care for your brushes, and with mild soap, and then reshape them to a point like this guy, you know, and then you're good to go. Let's see. What's the difference between a natural and synthetic brush? Natural hairs will hold more paint, more water, more. It'll hold more, but it also requires a little bit more skill in handling. That's why I recommend the synthetics. But synthetic is less. It holds water and pigment less, which I think is actually good for beginners, and depending on the style that you're doing. Like if you were gonna do portraits, like if you just want to jump right into portraits, I would of course recommend mop brushes with very soft hairs and with very soft hairs that'll hold water, because you want really soft gradients with portraits. The face. Let's see. Let's look at my face. See my face? See the gradual color changes? It's not so sharp. And you get that with soft additions of pigment on wet paper. Let's get back to this view. All right. Let's see. Oh, if you're enjoying things, make sure to like the video. Meant to mention that. Okay, number 7. Can I use the same brush for different colors? Yes, all you do is rinse it. I usually have 2 water jugs. One is dirty water, so I first rinse it in the first jug, and then the next jug has even cleaner water, because I've already dumped a bunch of the pigment in the first jug. So the second jug just kind of double cleans it, and then you can pick up a different color, because it's really important to not mix your whatever color you're working with. You don't want to mix it with a complementary of that color, because that'll mute it down and that'll take away the vibrancy and the saturation of that color. So it is important to have a clean brush when you're switching colors like that. But when you're just gradually changing a color, you know, within the color wheel, then you don't need to rinse your brush every time. When you're adjusting, you kind of just want to add a little bit of the other color next to the wheel, whichever way you're going, to get there. Or if you're muting, right? So you don't necessarily have to wash your brush every time when you're doing a gradual change. All right. Number 8, how do I revive a frayed brush? So frayed, sometimes I'll show you something. So this is my travel thingy. I don't know, pouch. So I have pens in here. I have the silver brush, watercolor things here. But what I wanted to show you was most travel brushes will have it this way, where it's you put the brush in it. And what happens is sometimes the bristles, if you don't have it, like mine is, because I use the soap to not mold it, but you know what I mean, like fold it all together, and then I can put them in here gently, like that almost, I don't know if you could tell, but that almost did it too. So you don't want any hairs to get bent back. But if they do get bent back, you just wash it, right? And you leave the soap, and you have enough soap so that the hairs you can shape the hairs back together, back to that shape like this, right? And this one has no soap at all. It's just phenomenal. It's just lovely. But you shape it back, and if you have any bent hairs, you do your best to try to shape it back. And if you cannot, which sometimes happens, you're gonna have to cut those hairs. But I do suggest that you work with that hair that got bent back. So yeah, you have to be careful when it comes to travel brushes that are set up this way. Close that. A cute set. But yeah, you can work with hairs that get bent back. Let's see. What's the purpose of a watercolor mop brush? So mop brushes are these guys right here, this style brush. Now, if you notice, they're very, very big. They hold a lot of pigment. Mostly they're for very soft additions of pigment onto the paper. So I use them a lot for portraits, to get the face right. And layering. They're actually excellent for layering. I actually have different sizes all the way down, you know, because they're fun and I love them. Yeah, so mop brushes are more for soft painting. And then you have a little bit more stiffer type of bristle to do more detail. Mops can do details too, but you know, you can work with whatever you've got, really. So let's see. Number 10, do I need to invest in expensive brushes as a beginner? No, actually. Yeah, I recommended these guys, which is what, $10 for the whole set. When you're starting with hyper-realistic or realistic type of painting where it's detailed and you want to get, you know, slow, gradual of color changes, adjusting the tones and stuff, and you're just learning, you can do it with these brushes. And that's it. I think I covered everything. Hopefully not too long. Oh man, it's 22 minutes. Hopefully that's not too bad. Yeah. So thank you so much for being here. I think the next video is on this side of the thing. Hope to see you in the next video. I'm not sure what I think it's palettes. I'm going to show you different kinds of palettes and what palettes are good and what I recommend and what I love. Okay, well, thank you so much. Have a great day. Thank you for being here. And see you again soon. Okay, bye. good enough for now. Paper. It's so old that it's not really behaving. Good enough for now. Do a little bit of this side. It's so wet right here. It's hard to paint the other side. We'll just stay over here. We'll keep working on it. That looks kind of cool. How about ears? More ears? Here. Hey everybody, welcome. So let's start with unboxing. Well, technically it's already unboxed a little bit, but that's because they packaged it so well. They even had a sticker here and I had a hard time opening it. So I went ahead and cut that. So let's look in here. So this set of brushes comes with a bag. Now I don't usually keep my brushes in a bag. And I'll talk about that a little bit later here. So if you do keep it in the bag and then you start pulling this down, you know, your brushes, the hairs will get caught on the brush and it'll bend back, you know, and it's just, I don't recommend it. But it's nice. As far as a gift, this is cool. I really like the packaging as far as the gift, you know, if you're giving it as a gift. Now, I know it's really close to Christmas already, so maybe for a birthday gift or going away present, or you're visiting and you give them a gift because you showed up. So I wanted to also show you, when you get a new brush, these were all packaged in individual plastic wraps. That's why I wanted to skip that part. So now, when you get a new brush, you want to remove this and throw it away. It's only kept here for shipping and stuff, so take that off. And also, when you get new brushes, they'll put it's like a glue on the bristles. It's probably gum arabic, I don't know, which is the binder for watercolor. I'm not sure. I'm not saying it is, but it feels like that, like it's a glue that you just put in water and wash off. And that's also for packaging and to keep the hairs protected. So you're gonna get brushes that are protected that way. And all you do is soak it in water, or, you know, get it wet and start kind of rubbing it and to get the glue off. So I wanted to show you that, but throw these away. You don't need to keep putting them back in the cap. That might damage the hairs if you accidentally bend one back, right? So yeah, so get rid of those. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend putting them back in the bag, because when you get them out, the hairs could get caught in there and whatever. The actual case that I recommend is something like this. And it doesn't have to be this, but something like this, where the brushes are held still and they're not touching anything around, you know, they're not bouncing around and getting twisted, or if you know, bent back. If you set it aside, it's kind of secure. I mean, you know, as best as you can. And and I always have them laying down too. Just because I don't want the water, I don't want them stored like this, where the water would go into the ferrule and into the actual handle. These are probably all plastic, so it's not a big deal per se, but there is glue still that you need to not worry, but that, you know, you might want to consider not trying to get wet all the time. And that glue will, you know, it might not last as long. So you just take care of your brushes and they'll last you for life. So I just wanted to mention that. But as far as a gift goes, the packaging is cool. I like it. So I wanted to also, well, I guess we could talk about what they are. They're supposed to be synthetic squirrel. That's still too big. I'm gonna compare this one. It's a size 3. It is a little bit smaller than the rest of these guys, but it's the closest one. Because the 6 is it's a bit big. Did I mean, I don't know. It's pretty close. So I'll just set this aside for a minute. Now that we're done playing around with that, we'll compare the tips in a little bit. Or the points, I should say. All right, so let's see. I wanted to touch on the packaging. It has great gift giving packaging, and the bag's kind of cool too. Affordability, yes. Let's go look at the monitor. I wanted to show you. Oh, that's why. So they're just $25 right now, and you get all of that. I think it's 10. Yeah, 10 professional. And let's go through like which ones they are actually. So you have, now the other thing too I wanted to mention, the sizing, right? The size of rounds. They're not, okay, so the sizing, they don't match any other brand. Every brand has their own size. So what they try to do instead is list the, oh, they don't even, this doesn't have, this is the inches as far as the length goes of the whole brush. But on more expensive brushes, they'll give you the size. Let's go to the overhead real quick. They'll give you the size of the ferrule, and that'll tell you how thick the brushes are, or the bristles, right? So they'll always, not always, but I mean, I think always actually, for more higher end brushes. This is a DaVinci Maestro Series 35. By the way, if I haven't said, welcome to Watercolor Wizardry. If you're new here, my name is Zara. Thank you for coming over and visiting and all that. Hopefully you subscribe. And to all my subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing. It's really cool. I've been having a lot of fun doing videos, and I'm getting better at it. So yeah, so more expensive brushes, they'll tell you the ferrule size, and that'll give you an idea. And by ferrule, I mean right here. And they'll give you the size of this, the round part here. And that'll give you an idea of how thick. And they'll also give you like the length, the whole length of the bristles, the hairs, and everything. So it's kind of cool. And if we compare these, I was going to compare them later, but we can do it now. So you'll see that the length of the hairs are all different. If I could line them up perfect, that would be cool. So you can see the Maestro is super, super long. It has a bigger belly, but it is more expensive, right? That's the trade-off. Huh. Let me wet this down too, because this has glue on it. So yeah, those are things to think about when you're getting new brushes. But you know, when you're just starting, inexpensive brushes, just, you know, play around with those. You'll be able to create nice paintings with inexpensive brushes. In fact, I'll show you if you, I mean, I don't know. So this painting right here is one I've been working on. I've been planning on trying to finish it, but I wanted, since I started it as a live stream, I wanted to finish it as a live stream also. And I've been working, I just been busy with a bunch of different things, because I'm also starting a beta course, or a beta group for the course, watercolor course that takes you from beginner watercolor foundations up to hyper realistic style like this, right? And yeah, I'm gonna have a beta. It's called a beta because it's the first run through. It's the first group of people to go through the course, and we're gonna go through it together, and it's gonna be great. And I'm excited about it, but there's a lot to be done. I mean, you know, not really. We could start it, just start it. But I kind of wanted to do a few things. So yes, if you're interested in that, actually sign up for sign up for anything on my website, watercolorwizardry.com, and I want to send like a discount for anybody that's on my list. In list to, if you're interested in learning watercolor through me, of course, you don't have to, you know, just the only reason you'd get on the list is to like learn from me. So yeah, so sign up on the website for anything, because I'm going to send it to everybody, because it's the first time we're going to go through a course. So that'll be cool. And I'm excited about it too. But that's what I've been busy doing. But I will finish this. Okay, so what I wanted to say was that this one I did with the Princeton brushes, these. And the hairs on these are not meant to be like squirrel. They're stiffer. But I'm able to manage, you know, a painting like this. And that comes with some experience or whatever. But my point is that you can accomplish, I don't want to say anything, but you can accomplish a lot just by doing it. You know, learning how the supplies work, learning how your brushes work, you're able to accomplish things. So it just takes doing. That's, I think, the hang up for a lot of people, is they're afraid to start. But totally, that's why I wanted to start a course, and I wanted to start a cohort, a group of people, you know, to walk them through how to paint and enjoy it and not get so overwhelmed by it. Because I was overwhelmed when I started, and I actually wanted to quit. And then I found some paintings that were hyper realistic that just like I had to learn how to do it because it was so beautiful. So anyway, let's get back to business over here. So the Artigria are soft squirrel brush, so they should be softer than the Princeton. But you know, honestly, they feel stiff to me. But just as stiff as any other brush. Although the Neptune feels softer, actually. But regardless, you'll be able to paint. I mean, obviously, I painted with this one, which is meant to be stiff. So you'll learn on any tool. You'll learn if you want to. So don't ever let that hold you back. Always at least try. Well, you know, I was ready. I quit. So, and if you want to know what I recommend, obviously, I recommend the Da Vinci Maestro. Once you get a better handle, actually, on brushes and how to use them. For now, as a beginner, when you're just starting, I actually recommend these three more than the last two here. So the first one, well, these wouldn't be bad either. So any of the first three here. So that would be the Artigria, the Mimic, and then the Neptune. The Artigria is the lowest price because it's what, $25? $25 for all of these brushes. And then the Mimic, you only get like four. Yeah, you get 4 brushes, maybe 5. 5 different brushes for $20. And then the Neptune are $41 right now. So kind of spendy. But I like how the Artigria, you get different brush shapes. Go here. You know, you get to play with different brush shapes as a beginner, and you get to explore a bit more for close to the same price as the Mimic set, right? And they're gonna work as well as the Mimic and the Neptune. They're very similar, right? So that's why I think this is a good one. And I actually got this recommendation through the Frugal Crafter. So I already know that they're gonna be good. I trust her judgment. That's why I bought them. Because I wanted, in case you bought them and then you join the course, I wanted to be there and use them so that I know what you're talking about, you know, if you ask any questions. So I wanted to show you again the comparison between all of them. I could probably... And I do apologize if I'm taking too long explaining everything, but. So the bottom one, the black bottom here, is the Artegria. The second one is Mimic. The third or middle is Neptune, Da Vinci, Neptune, yes. And then the Princeton is the blue handle. And then the Da Vinci Maestro, and that's specifically Series 35 is the top one, which is my favorite brush, but it does take a little bit of learning the brush, because this is a natural hair brush and it'll hold more water. So you're gonna want to learn water control with this one. And that's what I teach in the course, because there's 5 different levels of water control. Depending on the teacher, sometimes they only teach 4. It doesn't really matter. Just knowing how wet your brush is, how wet your paper is, and how wet, on the palette, your paint to water ratio on the palette as far as the color and the hue goes, all that. So it sounds complicated, but it's not. It's not. It becomes intuitive after a while. All right, so what else did I want to talk about? Let's see. I wanted to talk about their synthetic squirrel bristles, but synthetic, so not as soft as real squirrel. Brush shapes, you get different brush shapes. You even get a cat's tongue. It's kind of cool. You get the cat's tongue brush right here. It's fun to play with. You get 2 flats, which is nice, because I swatch with this one and even a 1/4 inch. I have a silver brush, silver black velvet 1/4 inch brush. I'm pretty sure is what I use to swatch out my colors, for different paints. And then you get a dagger or a striper, but it's really a dagger. No, I don't know what it is. I have daggers that are way longer. So daggers come in different shapes too. And then rounds. So you get, let's see. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to. So you get 0, 3, 6, 8, 10, 12 size rounds. Now, those are the sizes for the Artegria brand. And on top of that, if they have a travel set, most likely those sizes are going to be different also within the brand. I know it's really frustrating, but that's how it goes. You just kind of go with it. And that's why more expensive brands tell you the ferrule size, so you have a better idea of the brush size between the different brands. Construction, yeah. So the construction of this is cool. It feels like a plastic, so that means that you're not going to worry about the wood splitting, which is nice. Let's see. Wide assortment, protective cap and travel bag, which I wouldn't use actually. Beautiful packaging. Oh, for gifting. Yes, I agree. Great point forming. Yeah, it looks like it does. Oh, sorry. Let's go back here. Yeah, so it does have good, let's move this here. All right, so the points are really nice. What else do I want to talk about? User friendly. They're beginner friendly because they're inexpensive. So, if you mess up and the hairs bend, or you leave it in your water jug, like this in the water jug, and then the hairs won't go back straight. It's not an expensive brush per se, right? Like this brush right here, I'm pretty sure is about $35 just for the one brush, right? So it's good to practice, getting the good habits with an inexpensive brush when you're starting out as a beginner. So don't ever feel like, you can't accomplish excellent paintings or beautiful paintings with inexpensive brushes. That's not really how it works. You can learn how to use your brush no matter what the price. But with that said, the experience of learning to get to the natural brush and using it is lovely, 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 lovely. So I love my natural hair brushes. What else do I want to talk about? Oh yes, I did talk about storage tips, right? Where I don't really keep my brushes upright. I keep them laid down, and the case that I use keeps them laid down as much as possible. That's my storage tips. And removing those covers, it's because you don't want to use them necessarily. You don't need to. I think we covered everything. I know that that was kind of chaotic and crazy, but you know, I'll get better, right? And I didn't want to unbox it without you guys, because that was the first thing that I got where I had a channel to share everything on, and I wanted to do an unboxing, and then it was like not working out, so it's a half unboxing. So, all right, I think that's good enough. Hopefully you stayed and understood what I was trying to say. But so the next video should show up like over here somewhere, or wherever, whenever things change, and YouTube allows you to change where things are. So, but usually I like putting it right here, the next video. So make sure to watch that, and you have a lovely Merry Christmas and the rest of the year. And yeah, I'll see you on the next video. Okay, bye. Ever so slowly. I hate that I have to reach over. Layer by layer by layer to let that dry. Okay, this side's good. Let's play with that. Too wet. We'll see how that goes. And then you just keep tweaking it and tweaking it and tweaking it. Oh, I'm sorry. My chat, I'm sorry. Hi, Neil Legend. I'm sorry. I just now noticed the chat. Oh, well. I'm not trying to ignore you, for real. I do admire when artists make physical pieces with paints, colors, etc., instead of just going digital. Yeah, I don't know. It's all skill. I can't do digital. I'd have to learn it, you know. But the same basic rules apply. So there's like the rule of making things look 3D, and that is in all mediums, I think, pretty much. And then there's learning the medium. So digital, I don't know. But watercolors, I'm learning, and I'm helping other people learn it too. So it's just, you know, whatever you like. I forgot what color I had. Thanks for coming in. So much water. cute. Okay. Sugar. My cat. Oh, hey. Albert. Sui? The hell? No. Thank you, Rudy Zarna. That's cool. Thank you. I do think he's cute.
Hi, everybody. This makes me feel like Christmas. It is, it's November 2nd. So okay. Anyway, so I want to do 10 for 10, which is 10 questions in 10 minutes. And we're going to cover watercolor paper. I want to do a series and it would be, you know, supplies. So let's start. And let me get my questions ready here. All right. First question. What type of paper is best for watercolor? That would be watercolor paper. I know that sounds like I'm being condescending, but there's, let me explain. So watercolor paper as in specifically for watercolor, not student grade that says watercolor, because my experience was that I got watercolor paper that was student grade and it said watercolor on it. So I was thinking, okay, I'm going to save money and buy this because it says watercolor on it. It should work great. And it didn't. And it was really frustrating to use. On top of that, I didn't know what I was doing. And I thought I could just learn it on my own, which I could have, but I was more frustrated than excited about learning it on my own. So, you know, maybe different people, I don't know. For me, no. I wanted somebody to show me how to do it and just get to the point. I just want to get to the point because what I want to learn is I consider very, very beautiful, and I don't really care what other people think about the style that I love. And it requires you to be precise. It requires you to really know the supplies, how they behave. And I love that I know what I know, and I want to share what I know. So anyway, let's get to the next question. Okay, so do you have to wet watercolor paper? No. Actually, there is wet on dry technique, there's wet on wet technique. And the two techniques produces different effects. And so it depends on what you want to do. Also, if this is asking about stretching the paper, that depends on how wet you're painting. If you're really like laying it on there and letting the water drip and all that, those effects, and you're wanting the gradients to show up in granulating paint. There's a lot to paint, by the way. We'll do that in the next video. But no. So no, the answer is no, because you actually paint on dry paper, bone dry paper, to do sharp edges. That's how you get sharp edges, is painting on dry paper with your paintbrush. That's the wet on dry. Okay? So no, it's not necessary to always wet your watercolor paper before painting, because that depends on the effect that you want. Okay, number 3. What is the best paper for beginners in watercolor? Again, this depends. If your style requires you to be precise, to be accurate, to really, really pay attention to what you're doing, go for the quality right away. And even some other styles, I would recommend just going for Arch right off the bat. Don't even waste your time. But it really does depend on the style, because some styles can get away with lesser quality papers. There's like, I call it modern painting, modern florals, where it's mainly the brush strokes. For the most part, that can get away with it, but I would still recommend real 100% cotton, made for watercolor paper. My favorite is Arch. I learned how to pronounce that. Arch. So that's my favorite, but of course there's others out there. And they all have their pros and cons. Okay, so there's not really a perfect paper. It's paper that you love. That's the perfect paper, in my opinion. Okay, so number 4. What is the difference between hot press and cold press paper? That's easy. Hot press is pressed to be smooth, very smooth. And that's the kind of paper that I do, or I use mainly. Now you can see this one, and this is B watercolor paper. It only comes, as far as I know, one type of texture, and it's kind of a cold press, between a cold press and a hot press. And even with this, it can be a little bit difficult to get details, but I mean, it's totally doable. You can do it on cold press Arch paper. It's just kind of frustrating to get around the bumps. But yeah, this paper works pretty good. It's half the price. At least when I bought it, it was half the price of Arch. So it was going to be my student, or not my student, but my study paper. And every time I paint on it, I notice a big difference between Arch hot press and this paper. Arch is really fantabulous. It's really nice. I mean, I love it. You know, there's other papers. It's just my favorite. So yeah, and you can see how, well, maybe you can see, I'm not sure, but it buckles and stuff. And Arch will buckle too. Don't think that it won't, unless you stretch it. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Number 5. What is the texture of watercolor paper? Oh wait, did I even answer? Okay, the difference, hold on. Number 4, the difference between hot press and cold press is that hot press is smooth and cold press is a little bit more rough, but not as rough paper. So that's the difference. And hot press is made for really detailed work. And then cold press is more versatile, because you can do detailed work and you can do, you know, you can get texture out of it too. And then rough is very textured, and a lot of dry brushing techniques show up on rough, and it looks good. Yeah. So let's see. Number 5. What is the texture of watercolor paper? Well, we just discussed that. I just grabbed these from the internet. So the texture, there's hot, which is smooth, cold, which is in between hot and rough. So there's 3 different textures. And then depending on the brand, you could have really repeated pattern, which you don't really want. At least I don't like it. I like more random looking patterns so that it's not so, I don't know what to call it, but I don't like obvious print on the paper, but it doesn't really matter. It's whatever you like. Okay. Number 6, what is the best paper texture for watercolor? This depends on your style. Cold press is the most versatile, so you can go detailed or you can get textures out of it. So it is what I would recommend when you're starting. Unless you really know what you want, then like me, I knew exactly what I wanted, and I wanted the details, the precision and all that. That's what I wanted. So I knew right away. So I was on hot press right away, but I have a lot of cold press papers to play with. And I also have rough because I think it's important to play in all the papers, including student grade, just so you know what you're getting, and you know that there's a difference between the papers, and you learn your supplies better. I do. So even if you bought paper that's not the best, you can use it for sketching. It's not a big deal. You can't mess up. So don't worry about, oh my God, what paper do I get? You can't mess up. You're going to have to play with all of it. You're going to use all of it anyway. So it doesn't really matter. So just move forward. That's the most important thing, is taking action and moving forward. All right. Number 7, what is the best paper for beginner watercolor painting? So I recommend going straight for the best, right? Arch. And if you're wanting to experiment, cold press 140 pounds is what I would recommend if you're not, too sure about which way. Or you could go with the B watercolor paper. I would just recommend 100% watercolor paper, not just 100% cotton, 100% watercolor paper. You know what I'm trying to say. 100% cotton watercolor paper. And it can't just be 100% cotton paper. It has to be sized for watercolor. So it has to be, not has to be, I recommend 100% cotton watercolor paper. All right. Even for beginners, 100%. I believe in you. Okay, what weight watercolor paper is best for beginners? Oh, I mentioned that, 140 pounds. It's a good weight. That's what I use really most of the time. I have 300 pound, but I don't find it that necessary, really. So, I mean, it's nice, but I don't think it's necessary. I mean, for some things, for sure. For like professional, big and awesome paintings, and then yes. But as a beginner, no. Okay, that's number 8. Okay, let's see. What is the difference between watercolor paper and watercolor block? Okay, the only difference, people will argue with this, because there's a myth going on that these are pre-stretched, and they're not. Unless the manufacturer says specifically, not the seller. The seller will lie to you. If the manufacturer, like the place that made the paper, states it is pre-stretched, don't assume it's pre-stretched, because it's not. And it's not a big deal. If you're not painting heavily wet types of paints, it's not going to be that big a deal, but it will buckle. The only convenience for it is that it's bound, it's glued, most likely on 4 sides if you're doing expensive, but sometimes it's only 2 sides. I personally don't care for bound blocks. It's nice for plein air, or traveling, because it's already, taped down to something. And when you're painting, most of the time you kind of want it to be taped down somehow. Like even this one, I've taped down the edges because, it buckles. And it, can be a little bit annoying. But it's not, when you're doing detailed like this is not a lot of water really. So it's not as big a deal. But if you're doing heavy water, like you're really doing gradual or gradient changes in paint, like watercolor pouring, which I love, that requires you to stretch your paper on Gator board. That is fun. I love that. I love watercolor pouring, and I want to teach that too. So the difference between watercolor paper and a watercolor block, that's not a good question because it's all watercolor paper. No matter if you're getting watercolor rolls, you know, big roll where you can roll out like 8 feet and you can have an 8 feet watercolor painting. Those are the rolls, a big roll. Or sheets is the next size down, and that's about 30 to 20, 30 by 20 inches. Like, I don't know exactly, 22 inches by 34 maybe. I don't know it exactly, but it's a big sheet that you can cut up, and it's actually cheaper to do it that way. Especially Jackson's has a paper sale every year, I think about February. And even though they're way in the UK, they're worth it. I think they're worth buying from as far as that sale goes. And a lot of times, a lot of their paints go on sale. Anyway, I'm going off topic again. So let's see. There is no difference between watercolor paper and a block, aside from it's glued from all sides. Okay, question number 10. What is the purpose of a watercolor block? Oh, convenience. That's really, in my opinion, all it is. It's convenience, and it is so expensive for that convenience. And I don't have any blocks except for the ones that I was holding up in the thumbnail. 2 sizes to try out. Those are the only. Oh no, that's not true. Okay, never mind. When you become an artist, you're gonna end up being a collector of things. So I have so many different papers and so many different paints and all the colors because I have like whole set collector syndrome. But it's fun. But you don't need that much stuff. You really don't. And I can help you with that. All right, so that's 10 questions in 10 minutes. I don't even know. I don't know. Oh, shoot. We're at 15 minutes, so I'm sorry. I apologize. So watch the next video. I think it's going to be right here somewhere. All right. Have a good day. See you later. Bye. Oh, let's go back. Bye. Super cute.
should probably use a smaller brush, but oh well. Oh, it scared me. Our front door closed. Well, it kind of slammed. Not really. But scared me. Oh. Sugar. What? What do you want? My cat. This is actually the ear. So we're gonna fix it. So cute. It's coming along. I added an extra toe. I probably shouldn't have, but I thought it made him extra creepy. Not creepy, but you know. I could take it away, but I'm not going to. It's fine. Probably too dark, but that's okay. Ah. Very cool. Cute. Oh, hey, little dude, little doodle devil. I'm tired now. Look at it. Hi. I know he's cute. He's coming along slowly. Very ever so slowly. Oh, my fingers. So far, this is just done with burnt sienna and French ultramarine. The burnt sienna is Da Vinci. I usually do Winsor Newton, but just these two right now. What I'm using to paint this guy so far. And I think, I don't know, I kind of want, I don't know what to do with the background. I keep thinking purple and blue, like, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, just slowly, a little bit at a time. Watercolor, if you want to do, you know, more 3D type watercolor, it just takes time, just like anything else. And you just go slowly. Mistakes were made. Mistakes were corrected. So it's cool. I like it. I like how it develops. And then after a while you're like, oh, I did that. That looks cool. It looks like it's going back into the background. That's cool. You know, so I just stay proud of myself for doing all the things. Super cute. Let's look at his whole. Look at him! He looks so cute. It's October. Appreciate your bat month. Appreciating bats month. Super cute. He's coming along beautifully. I don't know. I want to finish up his ears. And then I want to do, you know, a little bit more details on the fur for sure. Pretty cool. I am liking it.